Uh,
Trev.
I don't know if we've done this before or not, but take it away, Trev, with a little start bench cut.
Bit.
Yes.
All right.
Sure.
Starting off, you'll start bench cut. Marlon Humphrey,
On the
Xavier
cornerback.
Howard,
Okay.
and Darius Slay.
Ooh.
Are we going based off of this year? If we're going based off of this year, I'm starting Slay, benching Marlon Humphrey, and getting the fuck rid of Xavier Howard.
It's funny enough you say that because I'm starting Slay, benching Howard, and cutting Humphreys. Humphreys
Yeah,
has
that's what I'm doing. Marcus.
Actually,
No,
as I said it, I was like, but
But I guess like it's really
I'll stand
you
by
can
it.
really argue it.
no,
Yeah.
I'm definitely I'm a big Marlon Humphrey fan. So definitely I'm still starting Slay. Slay's top 5 in least yards allowed as a cornerback. Can't deny his greatness right now. Slay's starting. Marlon Humphrey's getting the bench. I know he's always got some rough games against the Jamar Chase and the Bengals. But when you give that guy a scheme, he follows that to a T. And the versatility of him playing man coverage everywhere, definitely underlooked. And because I don't think Xavier Howard's really that guy. He led the league in interceptions that year. What the fucking do?
what's his name?
That's
oh
all
my
he's
gosh.
done.
What's his name? Their safety, Javon Holland.
Javon Holland is a
His name?
beast.
Yeah, he's taken over that D for sure.
Oh yeah, that boy Javon Holland, that's a special player. I was high on him since he was a rookie.
From the O. From the O.
Oh yeah, no, definitely starting Slay though, and then I gotta keep Humphrey on the roster and cut Howard.
That's fair.
Personally, it's close though.
I feel like Humphreys just hasn't looked the same. I know Howard hasn't had like the big plays, but he's still been good in coverage. Marlon Humphreys, for whatever reason, just has looked bad this season.
Yeah, no,
They both definitely suffered a decline over the last year or two.
for sure.
I mean, he was injury prone last season. That didn't help, but this season, I don't know what the excuse is, but he's getting burnt in coverage. He hasn't been good in the run game. It's just rough right now for Marlon Humphrey.
Well, let's also not just throw all the blame at him. The Ravens defense in general not looking like the defense that we knew from their previous like 2000s era. Tough, gritty defense, gonna make you work for it. Kind of allowing a whole lot of big plays this year.
Mm-hmm.
But
you're right.
Oh yeah.
Right. True.
What's that next one, Trev?
Got y'all. Little another defensive one here. Start bench cut. We got Fred Warner, Darius Leonard, and Micah Parsons.
Starting Micah. I'm gonna start Micah. I'm going to bench Fred Warner, and I'm going to cut Darius Leonard.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do too. That one's hard though.
That was a good one. I just gotta go based off of like, I don't know. I just can't put Darius Leonard up there just because the Colts are that bad.
I just can't put anybody above Micah Parsons right now.
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
I feel like I'm gonna be a little controversial here just because I want to be. I'm putting Fred Warner, starting him, benching Micah, and cutting Leonard. Fred Warner, I feel like next to, and this is a homer pick, but Roquan, but those two linebackers have been probably the most overlooked linebackers in the league over the past few years. Fred Warner finally got his praise with I think it was second team All-Pro 2 years ago, but he's consistently been in the talks for the number one linebacker in the league, and he doesn't get the awards to show for it. And it's starting to be upsetting to me because he's not getting talked about like the top linebacker anymore. When he genuinely, you could look at him as the best middle linebacker in the league right now. So it's like, yeah, Michael Parsons is amazing, and he's my Defensive Player of the Year award, but I just want to give shout out to Fred Warner. He's an amazing ball player, and he just gets overlooked so much. I want to start him for my.
He's a dog.
Damn straight.
Yeah, I think you gotta start Micah just because the dude's 2 years into his career, And look at him where we're talking about. He's arguably top 3 in the NFL on defense, regardless of position. On defense, he's top 3. And then I'll bench Fred. Very, very, very tough. Fred's a great middle linebacker, fills gaps, and a lot of things as a linebacker that you do get overlooked. You're quarterbacking the entire defense itself, so you have to acknowledge that. And then I don't even know who the other third guy is. That guy,
Darius Leonard.
Darius Leonard. Hold on, Shaq Leonard hasn't played all year.
Yeah,
so
Shaq Leonard.
he hasn't played all year, so can't even throw him in there.
Yeah, I know. All right.
So how did like his name become Darius and he wants it to go back to what?
His middle name is Shaquille, but like coming out of the draft, everybody just like looked at his like full name and called him Darius because that's like his legal first name. But I guess everybody in his family has always referred to him as Shaquille.
Okay.
Oh,
Makes more sense than Robbie just literally changing the name of the spelling of the word Robbie.
Yeah.
Fucking Robbie Anderson went from Robby Anderson to Robbie Anderson. Like, who gives a
Yeah.
fuck?
That guy in his like crazy wick hairstyle has he's been sending and receiving signals from extraterrestrials, and that guy's crazy himself.
Oh
Gonna have a
yeah,
monster rest of the year though.
him and Raj probably
No.
doing ayahuasca together.
Oh,
It'd be an unlikely friendship.
Yeah. Facts.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. All right, Trev, you got another one for us?
Yep. I got a last one for us. Little wide receivers, switching over to the offensive side of the ball. Start, bench, cut. T. Higgins,
Mhm,
Adam Thielen,
mhm,
and Chris Godwin.
mhm.
Battle
All
of
right.
the numbers.
So yeah, the battle in number 2s.
Wow.
I got you
Okay.
here.
Look,
T starting. Wait. Who's the third guy? Chris
Godwin.
Godwin. Yeah, bench
Thielen.
Godwin. Cut Thielen.
Yeah.
Sorry, Thielen.
Yeah. I'd do the same just because Thielen's number 2 to Jettas.
I'm gonna. I feel like the injury sucks, and that's why like I want to put him on the bench. But Chris Godwin before that injury was easily the best number 2 receiver in the league. Like I don't think there was an argument about it. Like there was
that was-
conversation about him being the number 1 in that offense versus Mike Evans. So
that was also before T. Higgins.
and I get that T.
Mhm.
Higgins has looked great, but I still feel like when I'm looking at Godwin versus Higgins, I'm gonna take Godwin. I'm benching Higgins and Thielen's cut. I love Thielen, but I don't know. The other two are just a lot more versatile. Like
I think
Thielen's a
that-
great red zone threat, but
I think if you took all three of those guys and made them number 1 receivers on like other teams, I think that T. Higgins would have like the most production as a number 1.
I feel like the argument's still there for Godwin to be the most productive too. Though I feel like he was
Yeah.
doing a lot with Jameis still, and it's going to be overlooked because he's playing with Brady. But when he was playing with Jameis, he was still putting up amazing numbers too. So like, there's an argument that Godwin can play with anybody, and T. Higgins has had Joe Burrows for his whole career. So like, T. Higgins obviously could probably be a number 1 on a lot of teams, but Godwin has shown that he can play with 2 different quarterbacks and be very successful.
Godwin also shares a like wide receiver room with, in my opinion, a future first ballot Hall of Famer, and still carves out his own role. So,
Yeah, I mean, easily.
oh yeah,
Let me start T. Dominant. Guys like 6'6" with like the longest arms. Like
Yeah,
I
he's
think
huge.
we've seen just humongous catch radius. Personally, there's gonna be some bias in this. I'm benching Thielen. That guy
Mm.
is a chain mover. Third downs, get him the ball. He does it. Red zone, put it up. He does it. Put him in motion. Put him in
Yeah.
the slot. He does it.
he's
And
an
then
all-time
he-
route runner too.
Exactly. And here comes the bias. I'm a Falcons fan. We know this. Rock ATL, a piece up, 8-town down. But Godwin, no, I've never been impressed personally, so I'm cutting him. I don't think he's that technical. As a route running, using like his skills and the abilities to get open. I think he's kind of leaned on some of his physical traits, especially early on with that Jameis portion of his career. I think having to play with Brady has forced him to go into his bag, per se, and find that technical ability that he does have, but not impressed.
DiMaggio's Penn State head ass is fucking fuming at that take.
How'd you know?
I could see it.
I don't know. Like, and it's no Penn State bias. Like, obviously, I love Penn State, but I just feel like Godwin, to your point, has pulled out a bag and has still been successful in a different role. And I feel like you could definitely make the argument for any of these guys to be your one. Like, honestly, if any of us said Thielen at the one, I really couldn't argue either. Thielen has been very productive over the course of his career, especially where he was 24 coming into the league, not a lot of hype, was literally coming from a D2 college, no hype around him, and has carved out a role as he was a number one at one point in the league, number two now to Jefferson, because Jefferson's just that guy. But Thielen honestly could be an argument for number one too. So,
he's had goddamn Kirk Cousins as a quarterback. Like, Kirk Cousins isn't awful, but he's definitely never going to play outside of himself and be extraordinary.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. So yeah, any of these guys, I can't even argue. Like, any of these guys you put at your number one is an amazing choice. So,
oh yeah. Well, shit. I think that should about wrap up today's episode of the Lunch Table Boys.